called Movie, and we'll answer the question that was sent to Miss Isi. Yes. Miss Isi is our reading club coordinator in the elementary. Miss Maka is reading club coordinator in the nursery. So you have a question on reading interest. Miss Maka has a question on autism, right? Reading and autism. So I'll start with your question first. That's, my child has no interest in reading, and is that because of speech delay? Most times yes, most times no. It depends, right? Once you eliminate other factors, you actually have to communicate and interact with your child to motivate your child to speak. But that will be a separate video that deals with speech delay and things you should consider if you notice your child is not speaking, right? Today, we'll focus on my child shows no interest in reading. But the first question I'll ask is the parents reading? Are the parents reading? Lots of parents don't read. Lots of adults do not read. True or false? True. Very, very true. Now, children model what they see, right? You see a boy driving, vroom, vroom, because he has seen his dad driving. Or a girl goes to stand in front of the mirror and she takes her mommy's brush and she's dabbing her face, like mimicking making up. It's because she has watched her mother do that. Or you see children bring empty containers and get a spoon and they are cooking because they've seen mommy or daddy cook in the kitchen. You won't see them model what they have not seen you do. So if you haven't in your house picked up a book and just sat down at a corner to read, probably will not see your child model that. So first things first, are you reading? Are you showing an interest in reading for your child to want to read, for your child to want to emulate? That's the first one, right? So books should be everywhere in the house. Books should be everywhere. Books should be like, in fact, I don't even know any teacher in Hadassah that doesn't like reading. Okay, just a few under marker section. But apart from that, all our leaders are readers. Books should be everywhere in the kitchen, in the parlor, in the sitting room or parlor, in the bedroom, in the toilets, everywhere there should be books. Children should see it as part of their environment. First of all, part of their environment, and not just newspapers. Because some of the things you even say you read, oh, I read, those are for your age. You know, some people read for research, not just for pleasure. But children start reading for pleasure. So they learn to read through pleasure before they read to learn. So most adults are reading to learn. Children have to develop pleasure, love for reading, so that they learn to read. By the time they can now read, they can now start reading to learn. You understand the concept, right? They can now start reading to comprehend, to answer questions, to solve issues or problems, you know, all of that. But first of all, they have to develop a love for reading. So how do you now develop that love for reading? Buy books. Buy books. Buy books. And you can see how visually appealing these books are. Please buy visually appealing books. Buy books that are interesting, books that are colorful. Look at this. Books that are colorful for pleasure, because for children, it has to be visually appealing to them before they pick it up. Buy interesting books and buy books that your children want. You know, you go to the bookstores and you see a child say, Mommy, I want this book. And the mom say, no, this one is, I don't think it's good for you. Is it you that is reading it? It's not you that is reading. So you see us buying books for our children because we like the books, not because our children love the books. You know, a child wants a book on dinosaurs and you feel dinosaurs care. No. Eze goes to school. I have Eze goes to school. I read Eze goes to school growing up. You have to read Eze. A time will come when you can introduce Eze goes to school. But for the meantime, because that is what your child desires, it means the interest is already in that. He will definitely open that book. So you end up buying Eze goes to school and you take it home and you drop it and you start reading. Day 1, untouched. Day 2, untouched. Because basically he feels you're giving him your book and he just wants to read your book. So that's number 1. So buy books. And when you buy books, read the books to your children. Some children are not ready to read books or haven't learned how to read books. So you read books to your children. Read stories to your children. When you're reading a book, right, and your child wants to quickly move to the other page, allow the child. It's possible that his mind has captured enough information and he's curious about seeing what is happening on the other page. You know, some parents will not beat the child. Leave it. It's like, I'm reading. So when you're doing that, you're already making it seem tedious, boring, and he's afraid. And reading should be fun. It should be a fun activity. It should be a bonding activity between parents and children, right? It's a bonding activity. So allow your child, and then every page is a learning opportunity. If Miss Maka has time, she'll tell you how you go through each. Even Miss Issy, you've done a video of that, right? Where we talked about how, it's one of the first videos we did. We're talking about how every page, you can teach numbers, colors, sounds, anything you want. You can spend 10 minutes on one page. On this page, I can point to this letter and say, what sound is this? Letter O sounds, and the child says or, and you say as in onions, as in octopus, as in October, as in, and you go on and go on and go on and go on. And then you now see a red dragon or something, right? What's the first sound in red? What's the first sound in red? And the child goes, that's correct. Letter R sounds as in red, as in rainbow, as in, and then it continues for each page. So when you say a child keeps on repeating one book, or my child loves only one book, is allowed. Because there are several things you can use one book to do. Several things you can use one book to do. But let's skip to that, right? So you have pre-reading activities. Once you have a book like this, okay, let's even have Red Riding Hood. You start with the cover. We call them pre-reading activities. You start with the cover of the book. And then you have a discussion on the cover of the book to get the child prepared for the content inside the book. So we call it foundation background knowledge. The title of this book, Miss Issy, is Little Red Riding Hood. Have you heard of Little Red Riding Hood? If the child has watched it as a cartoon, you say, yes, mommy, we watched it on Nickelodeon 2 days ago. Can you tell me the story? Allow the child to say the story. And it's when the child is telling the story. Don't say, no, it's not correct. It's not your opinion. Oh God. It's not your opinion. It's your child's opinion. You know, children see things differently. Allow them, and you're even gauging their imagination. You're gauging how broad their mind can be. You're gauging a lot. Allow them to tell the story. It also builds their confidence. Because then, oh, mommy is listening to me. Oh, and you see them next time they're watching those kind of cartoons. They pay attention because mommy can tell me to retell the story. So you're building basic skills when you tell your child, okay, tell me the story about Frederick. Listen, and as I say, really? And what happened? Don't interrupt and say, it's not like that. No, in my time. We're not in your time now. I'm in your time. They're not in your time. Mommy, even if I was listening to Red Riding Hood, I want to trek. I'll enter a car. But she did not leave him, right? You enter a car. What color will your car be? Blue. You're also helping to build vocabulary, build confidence. And when your child says, mommy, if I was the fox, but you're not the fox in Jesus' name, that is not the way. Because you also have to build what we call prediction skills. Your child should be able to predict stories. Your child should be able to imagine stories. Like, if I was the one to write this story, this is probably how I would write. Those are skills that are needed by authors and great writers. And the creatives, imagination. You can, exactly. And that's why there are some movies I don't watch. There are some certain movies I don't watch because you can predict it from the beginning. The beginning is too far. From the cover. You can just predict what is going to happen. Please, for those of us that are in the movie sector, please change. You can predict just by looking at the promo flyers. You already know what is going to happen at the end of you, and then you now see some certain actors. You already know the roles that some certain actors do. It doesn't build your imagine. Some things we watch or do don't sharpen our brain cells. It doesn't challenge our brain cells. So what I'm trying to say is that let your child enjoy the process of reading. Let it be a time of bonding. And then when daddy comes back, do you know what your son said? Have you read Little Red Riding Hood? Daddy says no. Okay, tell your daddy Little Red Riding Hood. But if you see how my son told the story today, it's even better than the original version. And daddy sits. When daddy sits down, collect the phone from him and let him listen to the child. And then when you're done, can you go and read another one? Read this story and then come and tell me and that the story again. That's if children have already mastered their reading. But if children are learning to read it to them and use funny voices. Not monotone. We don't do monotone when we are reading. You should see our reading clubbers. Shout out to Miss Issy, shout out to Miss Maka. When they are reading stories. Will you help me plant the weed? Ask Little Red Hen. You change your voice, you make it interesting, and then you add dramatization. No, express yourself, express your inner. Who is a popular actress? Your inner what? No, please. Express your inner actress. I don't even know. Some people don't know actresses. Okay, give me Korean. I know John can give me a Korean actress.
Hey.
Shaba, why are you running? Pakshina. Express your inner Pakshina. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You know, let it flow because you're entertaining and engaging your child. And the more you do that, in fact, there are days when you just be by yourself. The boy will bring his book. Mommy, please read to me because he wants to see that side of you again. Not that you'll be reading. The next race was the obstacle race. Who shall one of the obstacle? I'll win the race. No, you will not. Yes, I will. Top C team got stuck in the hoop and they did not win. They were very. But when you add dramatization, right, it even helps them imagine. So anytime they read that story, they also imagine how you read it and how you dramatized the story for them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what else do I have to add? Don't add anything.
Okay. Maybe the parent can use a reading book.
Yes, whenever you read, log it in. Yes, it helps. And it doesn't matter if it's the same book over and over again. It really doesn't matter, right? Because, like I said, it helps their imagination, helps them in their reinterpretation skills. So when I say reinterpretation skills, what they interpreted the story as in day one may be different from how they reinterpret the story 2 days later, 3 days later, a month, a year later. Okay, if a child is, because for autistic children, Miss Maka will get there. If you're reading to an autistic child and a child bonds to a book, an autistic child bonds to one book, that might be the book the child wants to read for 1 year, 2 years. But you keep logging it in, logging it in, logging it. Repetition is okay. Repetition leads to mastery, right? And various other skills that you need. So basically, also let children guess what will happen. Yeah, let them guess what will happen. Oh, Little Red Riding Hood. She entered the room and she saw 3 pots of porridge. What do you think she did? You are probably expecting your child to say, she ate the porridge. And she say, yuck, I don't like porridge. I'll go and sleep. No problem. That is his story. He doesn't like porridge because you also have to relate the story to their reality, right? So that they are able to internalize it well. So if, oh, mommy, I don't like porridge. Okay, what if it was a bowl of spaghetti? I will eat it. I will eat the spaghetti, mommy, and I'll ask for more. I'll go to the pot to good. So this thing that looks like porridge is not actually porridge. It's spaghetti, but they mash this. You know, that's how you do. And then you want to really mash spaghetti. Oh, so did she eat it? Yes, it's out. I'm eating it, mommy. Agreed. So you can see that the interest keeps, it has to keep on rising. It shouldn't drop. It should keep on rising. So that by the time you get to the end of the book, the child is sad that the story has ended. And if he wants you to read again, and you don't actually want to read it again, because truly you'll be tired, just say, you can go read it in your room. Okay? Before you sleep, I'll ask you questions again. Or don't worry, save your energy so that when daddy comes back, you read the story to daddy or tell daddy the story again. Right? So, and at the end of the story, ask the child, did you like the book? Or did you not like the book? If your child says, I love the book, you should explain why he loved the book. If he says, I did not like the book, you should tell you why he did not like the book. If there's a moral lesson that needs to be learned from his explanation, then you use that as a discussion period. Okay, this is why it happened. This is why it did not happen. You know, when some children read Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves, they feel for the 40 thieves. But you have to explain, oh, I didn't like that they were caught. And mommy will say, oh, stealing is not good. When you imagine if somebody takes your favorite toy, you'll be sad. So we don't want to make someone. So you have to use it as a learning point because basically reading is learning. All right. So that's it. I hope I was able to answer that question, those questions. Right. Any other thing? But shout out to again my head teachers and our team members. Our children are good readers. They are good readers. So if you won't blow a trumpet, I'm blowing the trumpet. Our children are very, very good readers, right? And when you get the foundation right, shout out to all the parents that are constantly buying books for their children. Yeah, I can name a few, but I think we'll give a shout out later on. Yes, I can name. In fact, there are some every month. If they don't buy a book, there's a problem. Even some bought yesterday. Yeah. But Pam is a reader. Mommy Eliora and Diana, I know she buys books. Mommy Shivon in the nursery. Mommy Shivon, right? Yeah, she's good. Who else? Who else do I know that buys Grandma Adesua, Mommy Mason. Yes, Mommy Mason buys books for her children. Who else? Mommy Talia. Yeah. Mommy Talia is trying.
Yeah.
Mommy Talia is trying. Yeah. Exactly. Mommy Shivon has always been.
All the time.
Like, Mommy Shivon comes to mind first, and then Mommy Pam Pam. Yeah, Mommy Pam Pam. Sometimes she just tells you, give me a bundle of this amount. Just for, like, these two are intentionally building libraries for their children, right? Right for when Shivon could not read, Mommy Shivon was buying books for her children, for her daughter Shivon, and we commend that. And right up till now, Shivon loves to read. Yes, Shivon tells good stories too. Yeah, yeah. So that's it. So shout
There's
out.
something that it would be good to read at least 1,000 books before grade school.
People wicked.
You need to read
You know what this is that?
before
This is that you
grade
must read 1,000 books before grade school. That is in nursery school. Grade school is primary school. So before your child turns 6
early.
years, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Before your child turns 6 years, he should have read 1,000 books. Thank God I passed that age. Don't pressure me, please. Don't pressure me. 1,000 books. But that's if you're doing a
You
book
start
a day
reading early.
or
to
a
the
book a
child.
week. You
That's a key to the library.
Huh?
That's keys to the library.
Library.
You're not stuck, you can do it.
It's not only you. It's also for parents now. Yes, now. Parents, please, your children need to read 1,000 books before they get to grade school, right? So thank you so much. Thank you, Miss EC. Thank you, Miss Shama. Thank you, Miss Joy. See you in the next video. Happy World Book Day.